Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. If you haven't been on before, I always start with saying my name's Scott, I'm an expat. I've had a couple of years experience in Spain now, 9 months in Granada, and before that near Portugal and in Portugal itself before that. So what I want to talk about today, and look at my other videos because it isn't negative, but this is designed to be negative to help those people, to help you if you're moving here or are here, not make the same mistakes and realise that it's not all roses. And I'll explain a couple of things. When you get here, first of all, unless you know people here, you are going to be isolated, and it's key. The key thing is to make sure that I'm talking about isolation, is make sure that you have a mixture of both expat friends and Spanish. That's very important. I would not, if you're going to settle in a place near the coast, get too involved in these sort of cliquey groups and not go outside of that group, because you don't move to Spain for that type of environment. I'm sure you come in for the sunshine and the culture, and if you don't mix with the Spanish, you're not going to help yourself. Okay, so isolation is number one. Number two, tradesmen, one of my bugbears. I have never seen so many bad tradesmen try to literally screw you over as an expat. I'm going to say it, spade a spade. I'm sure there's some good ones out there. I haven't found any yet, but nearly every single person that came to our house, I would get 5 quotes, but nearly everybody would try and up the price. They can, as someone said on an expat forum once, they can smell the money, literally, as an expat. And it's not just the Spanish. I'm not saying it's the Spanish at all, because otherwise I wouldn't be here if it was that. It is down to, unfortunately, I don't know whether the sun brings them out, but I dealt with a company from Holland, a solar company. I can't name them for legal reasons, and they were cowboys like you wouldn't believe. Okay, they'd installed ground wire outside 10mm cable that was meant to be for inside. The guys doing the electrics weren't qualified. At the end of the job, when we nearly finished the job, I happened to mention, how long you've been an electrician, to the young lad who was doing the fuse board. He's never been an electrician. When I spoke to the guy who owns the place and said, look, how do you sign it off if you haven't got a qualified electrician? Oh, we send photos to another guy. It's that type of stuff. But nearly every single job, so you must have your wits about you. That's the reality. And if anybody says anything different, they're in cloud cuckoo land. You really do have to watch people in all forms. If you're going to, for example, I went to Brico Depot, absolute cowboys themselves, a massive company. Couldn't believe how cowboyish they were. They hire subcontractors to do the installation of some of the stuff you buy there, and when it comes to problems, they wash their hands with it. And the same with Leroy Merlin. Although they're not as bad, they have this thing here in Spain, and I don't know if it's everywhere, but certainly in Andalusia, where if you want somebody to come and give you a quote from Leroy Merlin or Brico Depot, they charge you 40, 50, 60 euros to come and give you a quote. I mean, that's so bad, I cannot believe it, And then when they're here, that's to tie you in. And then when they're here, we had give you an example, a quotation for the pool filtration system to be replaced, along with pool lights. It was double that of a local company. Now that doesn't mean local companies are any good as well. You still have to be on have your wits about you. But we're talking, we got it done for 1,400 euros. Leroy Merlin quoted us 5,500. Same system. It was a glass filtration system. Just warning you. That's all I'm saying. This is my experience. So please don't. If you're living here and you haven't had this experience, well done you. But this is what's happened to us. The same goes for likes of electric companies. People that represent those companies will put you on a higher tariff and tell you it's the best tariff there is. We had that. So without going into every single problem we've had in the tradesman side of things, just have your wits about you. When you're buying a house, don't trust the estate agents. Don't trust the lawyers, only trust yourself. Double check and triple check everything. If they say everything's okay and you initially think it is, just have that little something in the back of your mind going, actually, let me just check one more time before I sign this or do this. And you can't go wrong. It will save you a lot of heartache. Banks, we use wise.com now mainly because we've tried using the local banks. And I've said this in my other videos. There's a description and link if you want to get a free account with Wise. But be careful with the banks as well, because if you put all your eggs in one basket and transferred all your money over, if you've sold your house at home and you have a lot of money sitting in the bank, you will find suddenly, without expectation, they will freeze your account, or they'll threaten to freeze your account, adding more stress to your time in Spain. So have all that in a row, ready for yourselves. Dealing with government agencies, this is not necessarily bureaucracy. I think it's just ignorance and arrogance on a mad level. You will come across one person who's absolutely fine and another who is like anything in any country, but they've got it sewn up here, down to a T. When they want to annoy you, they will annoy you. And the rule of thumb is smile and don't say anything. Wrong. If you have an issue when you were with a government agency, with a tax office or whatever, put your foot down. Do not get aggressive. I'm not saying get aggressive. Be very firm, but don't be polite. If they are doing what they shouldn't be doing and asking for stuff that they have added on that they should be, and I'll give you an example in a minute, don't put up with it. Demand, don't move, demand to speak to a supervisor. We had it in a tax office when we were trying to get our tax exemption for our foreign car bringing into Spain. They would ask for one set of stuff and then half an hour later change it and say, oh, well, actually we want this as well. And then you get that and then, oh, we want this. That's not bureaucracy. That is ignorance and just, whatever you want to call it, but don't put up with it is my point. The weather can be problematic. Actually, as a fair-skinned person, I don't mind it that bad. Granada, where we live, can be very, very hot in the summer, but 45, it's not ridiculous. It's not. I know it sounds hot, but you've got aircon, you've got shade, and all the rest of it. It's not like you have to sit in the sun and you're in a desert environment. So just bear that in mind as well. But from our perspective, these stuff that I've experienced adds to the stress when you first come here, and it does, and I've heard this, it does actually drive people away. So what I would say is, when you are dealing with bureaucratic situations and all these problems that arise, just take a breath and do it in stages. Don't try and rush it, okay? Because the ones I've talked about here are the main issues, okay? And they're the ones that you will come across. There are ways, and as in my other videos I cover them, so check out my other videos, is to overcome them. Like, for example, and it's common sense, but I didn't do it initially, is take every single bit of documentation you have and that you've ever owned. I know it sounds mad, and I still get funny looks when I go into the water company and I take a rucksack full of documents, and they're like, why? But yet, how many people have been caught out when they've suddenly said, well, I need a marriage certificate, or I need a certificate of conformity, the original with a watermark on it. That was one that got caught out we got caught out from. So just bear that in mind as well. The other stuff as well that can be sort of negative, I suppose, since this is what that video is about, is from the drinking side. You've got the drink is very cheap here, so from an English perspective, take it easy, and pace yourself. I know it's a thing to say, but that's the other negative side, is actually too cheap here. Some people are probably rubbing their hands together watching this. And also property. If you're buying property here, and I'll touch on estate agents again, you will find it's not easy to buy property, and there are a lot of sharks out there that are out to get you. There's a lot of people that claim to be advisors or guestors and all this, and they're not. Just because someone's English and you're English, or you're Irish, or you're from America, and you're dealing with somebody who's from the same country, have your wits about you, because some of them are the worst. Honestly, some of the worst. So just take that into account when you're planning your trip here, or if you are here. Just have your wits about you and make sure that you're aware of these sort of things. And I know, again, it's a negative video in some respects, but if you take something from it that helps you, then it's going to be easier, because the less frustrating that first year is, because that is the hardest, is the first year, in my opinion, then the less hard, the more easy you make it, the more likely is you're going to make a life out here, and it is a fantastic life. So I'll leave it with that. But please subscribe to the channel, check out the other videos, and they're designed to help you when you're here. And if you've got any comments, please put them in the comments box, and check out the links, and look, hopefully we'll see you in the next video.